Hello, welcome. I am artist Lisa Christensen. I believe that creating and giving our art is twofold joy. We paint joy, then we give joy. This Christmas season, learn in watercolor through my series called ABCs of Watercolor Christmas. You can make this gorgeous card with watercolor and die cuts. I love using die cuts for quick and easy cards that I can reproduce, but it still has a handmade personal. This card has a lot of layers to it. It is super fun, and I did stamp some of the other die cuts. I am using cherry pop, sorbet, raspberry sorbet, guava, and cherry pop for my colors. And they're all reds, but they're all going to change and neutralize and add some really beautiful textures to the panels that I'm going to create. I'm going to create one panel that is bright red and another panel that is more muted red, because cardinals have different reds in them. Right now I'm just adding my pigment to the mixed media mat and getting it wet. My brush is a little wet. I have a little bit of water on my brush, and I'm just going to cover the whole surface with some watercolor. And it's not a flat wash, it's more of a like get in and get out kind of wash. So there's going to be some whites, there's going to be some darkers. I'm really just looking for some really pretty textures, and I'm just enjoying my process. I'm letting the watercolor drip and dry and just do its thing. There's no real science to it, and there's no real art to it, just as long as you're getting some really pretty variations of color. And I'll just keep playing for a little while. There, that is looking good. I can put that and dry it up. I also like to clean up after myself. And then we'll go to the next panel and get that started. And this is going to be kind of the same color, but we're going to go a little bit brighter. And then oftentimes I will add water just down to the paper. I love liquid watercolor because you really get the best of both worlds. It is made out of ink, so keep that in mind. But I can, once the paper is kind of wet, I can really just let the watercolor paint itself and not have to worry too much about it. Like, the less fuss I do, the better the watercolor is going to look. I'm just splattering some water just to get the watercolor to move a little bit. And this is mulled wine that I'm using. It's a beautiful, almost purpley wine color. It's just really pretty. And I use that oftentimes for a lot of texture for my reds. And this is already like the color is very indicative to a cardinal, so I'm really excited for how this works. I'm going to kind of just spray a little bit more, get the watercolor moving, add a little bit more of that mulled wine just to get some beautiful textures happening. And because I don't know when to leave things well enough alone, I keep playing with it a little bit, but that's looking really good. I'm gonna put it away to dry, and we'll come back with a second layer and do the kind of the same thing again. I didn't love those spots. I didn't want them to look like polka dots, so I messed with it a little bit more, and I like the look of that. And then I'm just cleaning up my edges, as I don't need a pool of water at the end of my edge. We're gonna use this as the paper to die cut the cardinal, so it's not gonna matter what the paper actually looks like. So now that the paper was dried, I just added a little bit more of that mulled wine to the muted color. I wanted more texture. And then this one is just going to give a little bit more texture, but still have that bright red. And I'm going to go back in and add some more. This is the push and pull part of it. So you just keep pushing and pulling your colors, the brightness and the saturation of the colors, until you get exactly what you're looking for. And I like that. That's about done. I'm going to clean up those edges. I don't need any hard edges, so with a soft clean brush of water, I just soften those edges, and now I can let that dry. And then of course I clean up my mess because we don't need a mess. And we're done with the mixed media mat and the watercolor paper. Now we go to the die cuts. For this die cut, I'm using the Taylored Expressions Cardinal layer die, which I love. And I'm also going to cut through some of the, I also had some black paper that I needed for the little part of the cardinal's face. Now that I have the dies put into place, I run it through my Big Shot, and I am taking off the different colors of red. I have that's the top part, and this is going to be the bottom part. And I am using mixed media paper. It's 98 pound, so it's really perfect for this technique. Now I'm going to stamp my card base. I also die cut the brackets with toffee paper, and then I'm just going on with tone on tone, so doing toffee ink with that for the die cuts that I'm cutting out. This is with sweet basil cardstock. I'm going to situate the pine bough stamp from Blue Night Stamps. It's just a background stamp. It works really well for Christmas backgrounds. And I'm just putting that in my MISTI, kind of making sure that it'll work right where I want it to be. And I'm going to ink that with that sweet basil ink with that same color of the cardstock, just to get a tone on tone. This is really like an extra step that you don't really need. I just wanted to add it because I could. And once I get that perfectly stamped, I will then adhere it to the twiggy background. Just what I'm doing here, and now I can add it all together and glue it all back to the way it needs to be. Thank you so much for watching. All I had to do was then use some pop dots and layer up the layers that I die cut, and I have a perfect card that didn't take me more than a couple minutes to make. If you found this video at all helpful, please like this video, and if you are enjoying these Christmas card classes, please consider subscribing to my channel. I greatly appreciate it and enjoy creating Christmas cards this season.